Finishing off this set of rankings, we have the top 10 centers of the 2022 NBA season, and for this group of players, I have 3 honorable mentions, and those players are Miles Turner, Steven Adams, and Mo Bamba. 3 centers who have been pretty good this year, pretty underrated this year, but not quite good enough to make it onto my top 10 list. All 3 of these guys are very good rim protectors, but none of them quite do enough on offense, at least consistently enough, to make it into the top 10. So that is what I have for honorable mentions, and let's get into it with the number 10 spot, and that is Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. And my decision to put Wood at number 10 over these guys was difficult because all 3 of those players are clearly superior defenders, but at the same time, Wood is clearly the best offensive player of the bunch, and even though the Houston Rockets have been one of the worst teams in the entire league, I don't think it's fair to put that blame on Christian Wood. He has been the best player on the team, and that's just not his role. This dude is not even quite an all-star caliber player. He's meant to be like a number 3 scoring option on a decent team, and instead he's out here trying to be the first option on a terrible tanking Houston team. So I do not blame him for their failures. They played him at like power forward for a good portion of the season, which is not where he should be anyway, and when he has played this year, he is putting up 18 points and 10 rebounds, 48% from the field, 37% from 3. He's just all around a pretty solid scorer. Nothing incredible, not a very good defensive player, but just good enough to make it into my top 10. And moving on to the number 9 spot, I have Jusuf Nurkic of the Portland Trailblazers, and after really struggling last year with injuries all season long, Jusuf Nurkic has finally come back and is starting to once again look like the really good player he was 2 years ago. He is putting up 14, 11, and 3 this season, 54% from the field, and a very nice 69% from the free throw line. And while those are not quite all-star numbers, he's also a solid defensive player, and he's really stepped up in the last few weeks while Damian Lillard has been out of the lineup. He's been more efficient, he's been scoring more, his playmaking has actually really gone up in the last few games, he's averaging a lot more assists over the past weeks, and he's just playing real solid basketball. Once again, this is not quite an all-star caliber player, he's not quite an all-defense level defender either, but he has a balanced effort on both sides of the ball and is a legitimate positive contributor for a struggling Portland Trailblazers team. Jusuf Nurkic is my number 9 pick for this centers list. At number 8, I have a player who really surprised me with how far down he ended up on this list, and that player is Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. And to be fair to Bam Adebayo, because this is someone I am a big fan of, and I really thought he was going to be an all-star coming into this season. Bam is a very good player who has been crippled by injuries this entire season. All year long, he keeps getting hurt, he has not had any consistency staying in the lineup, and so I am willing to excuse his struggles. But at the same time, I can't rank him higher because I know how good he would be without those injuries. So I had to put him down here at number 8, despite the fact that he would probably be playing a lot better if he had stayed healthy this whole season. But for right now, Bam Adebayo, in the 22 games he has played this year, has put up 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists on 52% from the field, 77% from the free throw line. And while the points and rebounds have remained the same, the assists are down from last year, and the efficiency is down from last year. He is not hitting those mid-range shots in the same way he was, and his defense has also fallen off somewhat from the previous seasons. I really believed, and I still do believe to some extent, that this man could be a future Defensive Player of the Year contender, but this season he just hasn't looked like that guy, and with the fall off from the playmaking, with the mid-ranges not falling, I can't put him any higher than number 8 on this list. I really hope he gets healthy. I hope we see Bam Adebayo on the trajectory that he has been for the last several years. Wow, I botched the word trajectory right there, but this man has been on an upwards improvement every season of his career until this one, and he's been hurt all year long, so I fully expect that if we come in next season and have a healthy Bam, he is going to go out and perform like an all-star once again. But until that happens, I can't put him higher than the number 8 spot on my top 10 centers list. At number 7, I am going to go with the man who has one of the most impressive afros I have ever seen in my life, Jarrett Allen of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Evan Mobley has gotten all of the credit for how good the Cavs have been on defense this season, and a lot of it is deserved. Evan Mobley has been a beast. But at the end of the day, the best big man on the Cavs is clearly Jarrett Allen. He is their primary rim protector. He is more switchable to the perimeter than he gets credit for, and he is a fantastic lob catcher, dunker, finisher around the rim. Great rebounder. The dude just does everything you want of a non-star big man. He is a fantastic defender in the paint. He's currently averaging 16 points and 11 rebounds on 69% shooting from the field. That is such a good number. I'm sorry, I'm being stupid right now, but seriously, that is an impressive field goal percentage. He's averaging quite a few points, I believe the highest of his career by a wide margin, and he has been the anchor for this Cleveland Cavaliers defense. Evan Mobley, and how impressive he has been defending forwards is a big deal. It is a big part of their defense, but by far the biggest loss on the defensive end, if you were to take one guy from this Cavs team, it would be Jarrett Allen. He has been huge for them in both switching and especially defending the rim, and I had to give him this number 7 spot over someone like Bam Adebayo, who you'd expect to do much, much more on offense. And in a normal year, once again, Bam Adebayo would clearly be the better player, but this season, I gotta give it to Jarrett Allen. He has earned this number 7 spot. He's having a great year. Coming in at number 6, I have DeAndre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns, and this is a player who was very difficult for me to rank for two main reasons. First of all, the Phoenix Suns are a fantastic team. They are very good all around on both ends of the floor, and as a result, they don't need DeAndre Ayton to carry in the way that someone of his talent could on a worse roster. When he plays, he is relegated very often to the role of being a third to fourth scoring option. He runs the pick and rolls a lot, he catches lobs, he gets open looks, etc. When we know he has the talent to be a 20-point per game scorer or more on a worse team. He could get more post-ups, he could take more mid-range shots, but he doesn't because this team is so freaking good they don't need him to. The other reason, and this is kind of connected to the Phoenix Suns being so good, is that DeAndre Ayton has only played 28 games this season, and in the games he has missed, the Suns have not skipped a beat. Even with poor, average at best backup centers and guys like JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo, the Phoenix Suns have continued rolling right along to being the best team in the NBA. So it calls into question just how important DeAndre Ayton is and just how good he is. Now, I would be a fool to tell you that the Phoenix Suns are just as good without Ayton as they are with him. That would be idiotic. But at the same time, it's hard to make the case that he is an integral part, an absolutely necessary part of this Phoenix Suns team, and that they would be lost without him because, frankly, there's just no evidence to support that idea. So I landed on him here at number 6 in a very difficult position. He doesn't seem to be quite an all-star level player, but his contributions are massive for this team. He is a very good rim protector. He's averaging 17 points and 11 rebounds on a very good efficiency, and he can do a lot when he needs to. When the time comes that DeAndre Ayton needs to post somebody up, he needs to shoot a mid-range, he needs to do more on offense, he is able to step up. But those opportunities don't come very often, so it's difficult to see just how good Ayton really is. I had to settle on him being here at number 6, just behind my number 5 spot. And at number 5, I have Jonas Valanciunas of the New Orleans Pelicans, and it comes down to the simple fact that while these two players are very close in talent overall, with Jonas being better on offense, Ayton being better on defense, if you took Valanciunas off the Pelicans, they might not have a win this season because this team has been so bad with Zion out. Ingram is not playing up to his usual standards. This dude has had a massive role compared to previous years, while the Suns have been chugging along just fine without Ayton. So I had to give Valanciunas the edge here and put him at number 5, and it is well deserved. Valanciunas is having by far the best season of his career. He's averaging 18, 12, and 2 on 53, 42, 82 shooting splits, and the 42% from 3 on 3 attempts a game came out of nowhere. Like, I don't think a single person thought this dude was going to be suddenly an amazing three-point shooter. It's ridiculous. He is the second best three-point shooting center in the league right now, only behind Karl Anthony Towns. It's kind of crazy. Like, this man came out of nowhere and became a great shooter. I don't know if it's going to hold up into the future seasons, but this year at least, Valanciunas has been a sniper. Meanwhile, he's a great finisher around the rim. He's a great post player. He can hit the mid-range. He makes his free throws. He's just an all-around very good player. He gets great boards, including quite a few offensive rebounds. His playmaking is the best it's ever been, although it's still not by any means like a strong suit of his game. He's just been really good for the New Orleans Pelicans, and if you take him off this team, they would be just absolutely terrible. So I had to put him up here at number 5 over DeAndre Ayton. And now we get into the top 4. And this is where it gets crazy. This is the legitimate all-star centers. All 4 of these guys should clearly be all-stars this season, and it was real tough to choose between number 3 and number 4. I had to go with Karl Anthony Towns at the number 4 position, and I'm sure a lot of people are already mad, because you know who's above him, and you think he's a playoff joker, and blah blah blah. You like the fact that Towns is a really good offensive player, and guys, I am just not as high on Karl Anthony Towns as everybody else is, alright? I'm just not. I just don't see it. Yes, he is a better, and this sounds like I'm hating on him. He's number 4 on my top 10 centers position list. So, like, clearly I don't think the dude is ass or anything. Like I just said, he should be an all-star. But his defense, while much improved, is still arguably a negative. At best, he's a neutral defender, but I would say he's still a bit of a negative on that end. His shooting is phenomenal. 51% from the field, 40% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. He's great, and that's while putting up 24 points a game, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He's an underrated playmaker. He's an incredible scorer. He is the best shooting big man we have ever seen, and this is from someone who loves Dirk. Okay, Dirk is my favorite player all time. I don't understand the argument that Dirk is a better shooter than Cat. Like, I really don't. There is zero evidence for it whatsoever. He is far and away the best shooting big man we have ever seen, ever, in the NBA. But with all that said, I don't know what it is. I just feel like his impact on the game is not as great as the guys above him. For everything he does on offense, I don't want to say he's an empty stats player because I don't think that's accurate. The Timberwolves have been better than ever before this season, and he's a big part of it, but I still can't say that he is a top 3 center in the NBA. I just don't believe he's that good. So I have Karl Anthony Towns, despite his offensive brilliance, here at number 4, behind Rudy Gobert, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. And before some of you start saying it in the comments, if you are still going on about how Rudy Gobert choked, and Rudy Gobert is the sole reason the Utah Jazz lost in the playoffs last year, you are a clown. You don't know what you're talking about. I've talked about this. Other people have talked about this. Rudy Gobert is not at fault for the Jazz losing last year. The coach, being a bumbling moron, is the reason the Jazz lost in the playoffs last year. He told Rudy to stay in the paint and leave them open for threes, and he stayed in the paint, and the Clippers hit a bunch of threes, and that's that. That's all it is. What the hell was Rudy supposed to do? If he's not allowed to go defend the perimeter, he can't defend the perimeter. So, sorry, that's something that makes me very upset. Very annoying narrative that I'm sick of hearing. Rudy Gobert was the clear Defensive Player of the Year last year, and while I believe it goes to Draymond Green this season, Gobert has still been the best pure rim protector in the entire NBA. He is phenomenal. Meanwhile, he is having the best offensive season of his career by far, with a career high in points, rebounds, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. He also currently leads the league in both rebounds and field goal percentage with 15 a game and 71%. He's just great. He is the best screen setter in the NBA, which is not something that gets recognized very much, and it's hard to quantify. I really think the NBA needs to add in screen assists as a stat, because Rudy Gobert would absolutely lead the league in that category. He's just a phenomenal screen setter and roller to the basket, and he's great at finishing around the rim as well. Now, does he shoot any jump shots whatsoever? No, he does not. He's not a floor spacer, he's not a versatile offensive player, but as someone who is just doing typical big man things on the offensive end, he is the best of the best. Meanwhile, he's the best rim protector, he's the only reason the Utah Jazz are not like the worst defense in the entire NBA. He carries that team so hard on the defensive end. Rudy Gobert is a great player. He's underrated in All-Star voting, as he is every season, and he needs more credit. He's the third best center in the NBA, and I'd like to say he's in the conversation for the top two, but he's really not, because they are arguably the top two MVP candidates in the league right now. I am, of course, talking about Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, arguably the two best players in the NBA right now, clearly the two best centers, and as a Sixers fan, with a gun to my head, I gotta be honest, Joel Embiid is only number 2 on my list. This dude is my favorite player, period. I love watching him play. He is carrying my team by the throat to some of their wins this season. He just did it last night against the Spurs. He's been incredible. He has been incredible. He tied the all-time Sixers record for consecutive 30-point games with 8. He is currently on a 12-game streak of consecutive road 30-point games. The dude's been a beast. He's been a beast this season. He's playing the best defense he has in several years. His offense is the best it's ever been. And let me give you some numbers to show you why. Joel Embiid is currently averaging 29, 11, and 4. And that 4 assists is the most assists of his career by a wide margin, while also averaging the least turnovers of his career. His playmaking is finally turning a corner. He is not just a slightly below average, just barely passable playmaker. He has become a legitimately decent playmaker, especially for a center. It has been huge this season, with him dribbling the ball all the way up the floor and dunking on somebody. He's passing out of the post really well when he gets double teamed, and he's just carrying this Sixers team. He's shooting 50% from the field, 39% from 3, and 82% from the free throw line. He's unstoppable, 11 free throw attempts a game. I believe he's leading the league in that category. The dude is a monster. He is an absolute monster on both ends. And unfortunately, somehow, he's still not better than Nikola Jokic, because Nikola Jokic has been the clear, in my mind, best player in the entire NBA this season, and it's really a shame that his team sucks so much booty that there's no chance he's going to win the MVP. They're just not going to win enough games. But we are talking a player right now, okay? 26 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. 57% from the field, 37% from 3, 79% from the free throw line. It's not quite a GOAT tier season, like a LeBron 2013, Curry 2016 type season, but a tier below that, that is what Nikola Jokic is doing right now. He is having a borderline GOAT tier season at the moment. It is insane how good this man is, and for years, my criticism of Jokic has been one thing, it's been his defense. Even last year when a bunch of morons who didn't actually watch the Nuggets play sat there and they looked at one advanced stat, it was like defensive box plus minus or something, said he was a massive positive. And they were like, oh, Jokic is like a great defender. And it's like, no, moron. Watch the actual game, he clearly isn't. He's too slow, he can't switch on anybody, he's not a good rim protector, blah, blah, blah. He's not a good defensive player. This year, he has gotten in shape, and he is finally a clear positive on the defensive end. Not a defensive player of the year candidate like those same morons are now saying he is, but a clear positive on defense. And that's all it took for the guy who is already the best offensive player in the NBA. Yes, that's what he's been this season. He's been better on offense than Curry, better than LeBron, better than KD. The best offensive player in the NBA is now a clear positive on defense. And as far as I'm concerned, that makes him the best player in the league. Nikola Jokic is absolutely insane. Every single win the Nuggets have had have come with him playing amazing. He has been putting up insane numbers from the first game of this season to the last game that he played in this season. Absolutely unstoppable. He's unguardable. His scoring is great. His playmaking is great, and he'd probably be averaging several more assists a game if his teammates didn't suck. His rebounding is among the best in the league now. His defense, like I said, has gotten way better. He's super efficient. There are no holes with Nikola Jokic. There are no flaws. The man is an incredible player. He is the best player in the world, and he is obviously, by extension, the #1 center on my list. So that is the end of my rankings